What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin. This is my review for the April 30th pay-per-view of AAA's Triplemania 30. I know you're like triple A, Lucha Libre AAA. It was their Triplemania 30 pay-per-view, one of three pay-per-views, Triplemania pay-per-views they will have this year. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Rasslin on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. This was a fun pay-per-view for me to watch. I know many of you who are going to watch this video, and a lot of my subscribers are like, I don't really get into... It's a preference, man, but I like watching Lucha Libre, and especially AAA, because it's different. It's different from what we normally see in WWE, AEW, Impact, NWA, GCW, basically because it's more Americanized wrestling as opposed to Lucha Libre, which tonight it had a little bit of old, new, mixed tag matches, storylines that go back generations before, just all that, and of course the lore of the Lucha Libre mask, and they have a tournament, which I actually like this tournament. I can't remember the name of it right away. Forgive me, guys. But basically what the tournament is, the mass wrestler, it's nothing but mass wrestlers, and the losers advance. So basically what it is it gets down to the last two losers who advance, and basically the last loser gets unmasked, which is a really interesting concept, but it fits the lore of the heritage, the prestige of the luchador mask in the Mexican culture and in Mexican professional wrestling, which when you study that and you watch documentaries and things like that on the Mexican luchador mask, it's like, oh man, it's really cool. I wouldn't mind like an American wrestling promotion adopting something similar to that, where the losers have to start at the bottom of a ranking or something like that and have to start all over. And that would actually be really good. I'm going to make another video about that. Hopefully I get time to do it, but interesting tournament to say the least. But man, this was a really solid show. There was, I don't want to say an issue, but just a slight, how do I say it? I mean, it was just the weather. I mean, it was in Monterrey, Mexico, and it was in a baseball stadium. And at one point during the Andrade, what was it? The Andrade El Idolo, the Andrade, Dorana Peraza, Cybernetico, Pagano, Bandito, and Taya Valkyrie. During that match, it started to rain, and at that match, you kind of saw the wrestlers take everything down, like tone everything down a notch, because you could tell the ropes were slick. The mat was not drenched, but it was slick spots, and they really took their time in executing moves, and they didn't go 100 miles an hour. They just kept it in the moves that they did in sections of the ring, where it was, okay, we work here, we're not going to run, like this or anything, because you don't want to injure yourself or the other person you're working with. But kudos to them for that. But man, the first match was Ultimo Dragon and Pentagon Jr. I enjoyed this match. It's been a while since the last time I've seen an Ultimo Dragon match. I did like when Penta came to the ring, and I believe it was a son or a kid or something dressed just like him, and he did the Zero Miro thing. That was really cool. This was it was an interesting match. Usually Penta, he's going 100 miles an hour, and he's doing his Canadian destroyers and hip toss and pile drivers and all that, and it was kind of just very slow and basic. Of course, this isn't the Ultimo Dragon that I'm accustomed to of seeing back in '98. It happens, and there's nothing bad or anything. That's just the reality of it. But there was a point where Ultimo Dragon did a Canadian destroyer on Ultimo Dragon from the second rope, which looked really cool. Unfortunately, like I thought that Ultimo Dragon was gonna win or lose because let's face it, Penta's the hot guy. He's coming in from AEW, but no, Penta lost, so he advances in the tournament that they're having with the masked wrestlers. So he advances, and it's like, is Penta gonna lose that mask? Don't know, but it's gonna be interesting. So Ultimo Dragon wins. Really cool opening match. It was a solid match for this event and that crowd. It was fun. It was good to see Ultimo Dragon. I enjoyed his work in WCW. It was always fun to see it, but this was a solid match. Then we get our next match. You have Latigo Maravilla versus Sexy Star #2. This is not the first one. I thought it was the first one, but then commentary explained like, no, this is the second Sexy Star. The first one, there was a first one. This is the second one. You got Octagon Jr., and then you have Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti. They come to the ring, but Sammy is walking with a crutch. He brings in Parca de Negrego, and we also get one of the Vipers, or two of the Vipers. We got Chick, Tormenta, and Arez. Man, this was a fun match. This was like, you had the first match with Ultimo Dragon, and you had Penta, which was a pretty moderately paced match, but this one just went 100 miles an hour. Two things that stood out for me in this match was Latigo. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Latigo and Sexy Star. I guarantee you, at one point or another, we're either going to see them in Impact, Ring of Honor, or AEW. And not saying that they're going to be signed to them, but I guarantee you we're going to see them in a match because the moves that they were doing, the quickness, the efficiency, the agility, man, that looked beautiful, man. They can wrestle. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in AEW, Ring of Honor, or Impact Wrestling soon. But yeah, there was a point where like Latigo got kissed by Parker Negron. Of course, you get that in the Mexican, the Lucha Libre style. Happens all the time. It's pretty old school. There are some traditional things that they do incorporate when they have the mixed tag matches, which is tongue in cheek. It's cool. It's entertaining. Then you had a somersault by Tay Conti on the outside. Like, there was a lot of, actually, this whole show, you had a lot of somersaults, which is expected, but they hit, and they were perfect. And kudos to the camera guys for getting that. Really dope. Then you had Ariz performing a Spanish fly on Latigo from the top turnbuckle onto everyone else on outside. Insane move. I was like, whoa, that's what? Like, it was a thing of beauty. Then you had Sammy Guevara, as his team was losing. He comes in, he starts hitting everybody with the crutch, and he takes whatever cast he has off, and he just starts beating people. They eventually win, which was interesting. Didn't think about that. It was like, oh, okay. What's interesting is that Parker Negro, like, he didn't, like, I don't know where he went. He just left or what have you. And like I said, Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti win. They are the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions. They did, when they came out and everything that's been happening lately on AEW with them being the annoyingly affectionate public display of affection, couple, what have you. They brought it to AAA. The crowd wasn't having it, so that's their new thing. They were heels in AAA, so I honestly believe that as they go back to AEW, they're going to be even more heels. From there, we get Villano 4 versus LA Park. This was a fight, man. This was a fight. You had chair shots. They were fighting in the crowd. At one point, LA Park was busted open. Villano 4, he hit the ref after LA Park ducked. LA Park, he hit Villano 4 with a chair. LA Park ripped up Villano's mask. Then both men started bleeding. Eventually, it got to the point where LA Park got his cover. 1, 2, 3. LA Park wins. So, again, getting back to this Luchador Mask tournament. So, because LA Park wins, Villano 4 advances into that tournament, which, man, that is a really cool tournament, man. That is an interesting tournament that has me very intrigued with how this is going to play out and where this is going to go. I believe the finals are in the last of the Triplemania 30 pay-per-views this year. I believe it's in October. So I'm looking forward to watching that one because I just want to see the culmination of it. Then we get they honor Latin Lover. What I thought was pretty funny was that he came out to Pitbull's song Culo, and it's like, it is what it is. It is a banger, but it's like, did not expect to hear that in a wrestler's entrance, especially this one. But it's like, hey, if it fits, it is what it is. But no, this was really cool. He's out there and he's, talking to the crowd, and this music hits, and it's Jeff Jarrett with Karen Jarrett, and he just belittles this whole crowd. He's like, you're Mexican, and just like, man, I'm surprised, and I've gone to Mexico. I'm surprised no one jumped over that rail and did him any bodily harm, because it wasn't to the point where he was just being nasty and just vicious and vile, but it was just like, somebody's gonna knock him out. And eventually he attacked Latin Lover. He was beating him up, him and Karen Jarrett. And then Vampiro, yes, Lucha Libre, AAA Mexican legend, Vampiro, formerly of WCW. I liked his look and everything back in the day. He comes out, he starts beating him up, makes the save. Jarrett and Karen Jarrett, they run off and everything, and they're left in the ring. But man, that was a really cool segment. I did not expect to see Vampiro come out and make the save, or I didn't even expect Jeff Jarrett to come out. That was really interesting. But hey, it was cool for that moment. Maybe there might be something with Latin Lover and Jeff Jarrett at one of the Triplemania shows this year. Who knows? Maybe. Because Conan is the booker. Yes, Conan is the booker. But then we had the match between Jack Cartwheel, Laredo Kid, Dragon Lee, Jalisco, Turas, and Johnny Caballero. And I know you're like, who's Johnny Caballero? John Morrison. Yes, John Morrison, or Johnny Drip Drip. He wasn't Johnny Drip Drip tonight, man. This was, I would say, this match and the main event were probably a tie for the match of the night, because this, if you've seen Laredo Kid, especially on Impact Wrestling, if you've seen Dragon Lee, and I believe Jalisco, I know Dragon Lee was in Ring of Honor. Jalisco, I believe he was there too. Turas, of course, in Impact Wrestling. John Morrison, we've seen the stuff in Impact. Well, some WWE, but mostly in Impact, him showcasing his talent and everything. These guys can put on a show. This was actually my first time seeing Jack Cartwheel. Whoo! Be on the lookout for that guy. Um, he's another one outside of Sexy Star and uh, what was it? Latigo. Jack Cartwheel. Don't be surprised to see him in AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, even New Japan Strong. Like the moves that guy did, man. Me describing it does it no justice, man. You got to check it out. Maybe someone has the clips up or something on social media, but man, that was work of art. Yes, a work of art. There was a running crucifix bomb by Black Taurus. There was a wheelbarrow suplex that he performed also during this match. What was it? There was a double team by Dragon Lee and Jalisco. It was a double dive by both of them, which was the timing of both of them to perform it at the same time and have the same movement doing that dive was, man, so beautiful. Like that's artistry. That's something that like you have to appreciate, especially in professional wrestling where your body is the canvas, like is the artwork that you're presenting. Like so beautiful, man. There was a spinning Spanish fly by Jack Cartwheel, man. Telling you, that's why I said, like, this is my first time seeing Jack Cartwheel. That dude, man, he's going to wind up on some more TV programs in 2022. Mark my words, he is going to be on more TV programs in 2022. Then you had a cartwheel moonsault by Jack Cartwheel. Then John Morrison low blowed Dragon Lee, hit him. They win. Black Taurus and Johnny Caballero. John Morrison. There you go. They win. Man, that was a really fun match, man. That was a fun match. Then we get the match between Blue Demon Jr. and Rayo del Jalisco Jr. I believe Ray del Jalisco. No, not Ray del Jalisco Jr. That was Kanik. Man, this was a old school like lucha libre style match, like just mano a mano match, man. I like this. I enjoyed it. There were some weapons involved. Blue Demon Jr. He brought in a hammer, cookie sheet. I shouldn't say cookie sheet. How do I put it? Yeah, cookie sheet basically. And not something that's it's cookie sheet. Oh, that's nothing. No, I would say those cookie sheets that they use in like schools that they give out for lunch. Like I washed those one time, man. Them things ain't light, man. They got some thickness. Like that was thick. He brought in the chain. What was cool was that Cien Goddess came in and he had a feud with, I believe it was Ray del Jalisco Jr. that goes back like 30 years or something like that. That's what I liked about this pay-per-view. Again, this was like my first time watching a lot of these Lucha Libre guys that's been there for years because, let's face it, we hardly get access to Lucha Libre here in the States, and you gotta like follow on social media and follow this story and stuff like that. But this was this is stuff that I find interesting about Lucha Libre when they incorporate these stories that go like 30 years, and it's the son fighting the other son of the rival of this rival. Like they were rivals and their sons are fighting, and it's basically a novella, and I like that. So yeah, Blue Demon was out during this whole time. He was stretched out. There was no movement or anything like that. So that was like real interesting when the commentary was breaking it down, and to see the guys come out and the crowd was really taking it like, oh wow, this guy's here, and it's really cool to see that because it's like, oh man. And what I also like about it, it adds intrigue for people like me who maybe didn't know who these people are, and it's like, oh man, 30-year history. Like, man, let me look more. This is really interesting. Like, there's like 30 years. Like, man, where are the matches at? Like, where can I watch this? And that's so cool. So cool about professional wrestling, especially in Mexico and the Lucha Libre, AAA. I love that stuff. Then we get to the match: Diana Peraza, Andrade El Idolo, and Cybernetico versus Pagano, Bandino, and Ty Valkyrie. This is the match where it started to rain, and as the match started, they got into a groove, and then I don't know who said it. Maybe it was just they adjusted on the spot, and you could tell they stopped doing more coast to coast moves on the ropes and everything, and they took it by sections. Like I said earlier in this video, they Andrade did his moves, this section, and then if they went outside, they were right here. They didn't go across the ring or just fly in, the normal Lucha Libre style. They just took it in spaces and everything, and kudos to them because it looked like it was real slick. There was a point where Bandino kind of like lost his footing slightly, nothing major or anything, but he lost it, but he took his time and then just done a simple move in that section and everything. And they really did a really good job. There was, the Hurricane Rana on the ramp by Bandino on Andrade. Beautiful, man. Now that I think about it, man, when are we going to get Bandito, Rush, and those guys in AEW Ring of Honor? I think eventually we're going to get that. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're holding off on a lot of things with Andrade and AEW, because that is down the line that they know they're going to pull something off where all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn, he's a major player. Of course, Bandino and Andrade, that's a rivalry. They were just trading forearms. Like, I think people are adopting more of the New Japan style of forearms. Like, I'm seeing that a lot in a lot of places. Then there was a spot where Diana Peraza challenged Pagano. She slapped him, and then he performed a move and super kicked her. It was like, oh, damn. Then there was a spot where there was a pile driver by Bandino on Andrade. Andrade missed Bandino trying to kick him, and he kicked Diana Peraza. Then you had Cybernetico. He brought in a fire extinguisher. He was using it on everybody, and then eventually he used it on the ref, and the ref just called a DQ. It was like, whoa, a DQ. And that is basically how Pagano, Bandino, and Ty Valkyrie won. There was another spot before this happened that Pagano landed awkwardly on the table that was outside, and they were really concerned. He got up kind of gingerly and everything, but I wouldn't say this was a bad match or anything. They did the best they could with the weather situation. When it's raining like that, first thing when they mentioned that it's raining, it reminded me of a MTV show that WCW was doing, and they had DDP and Raven, and the mat, it was just drenching, it was soaked in rain. And I was just like, how are they, what? How are they doing this? What is this? I didn't, man, what? How, what? And it was very interesting. And thankfully, nobody was severely injured or pulled anything with the weather conditions. But hey, they did their thing. It was a decent match. We'll see what happens. Then our next match, we had Kanik and Psycho Clown. This was another match in the Lucha Libre Mass tournament where the loser advances in the tournament. This was a real interesting match. Kanik, it was my first time seeing him. I didn't notice this until someone tweeted that he's 69, 70 years old. And wrestling the way he did was like, whoa. I thought Sting was one of the oldest guys wrestling right now. I'm like, nope. Kanik got him beat. But man, there was a point where Psycho Clown, the announcer sold it that he landed on the guardrail on his throat, and they checked on him, and then you had Kanik come in, and he just started banging his head into the turnbuckle. Kanik, he wound up ripping Psycho Clown's mask. He just started giving him chair shots and everything. He eventually busted him open. That's something I noticed about tonight, that most of these matches that dealt with the Lucha Libre mask, like, except for Penta and Ultimo Dragon, the other ones, like, as soon as they ripped their mask, they were just busted open. Then you had a back body drop into the crowd onto metal chairs from Kanik on Psycho Clown, and like the announcers were describing, like, these aren't the typical metal chairs that you normally see. Like, these got some weight, like they're more heavier, and he landed on, like, oof, that hurts. Then eventually Psycho Clown made a comeback, and he ripped Kanik's mask, and that just resulted in Kanik getting more blood and everything. One thing that was interesting about this was they mentioned that Kanik slammed Andre the Giant in 1984. He wrestled Hulk Hogan for the WWF title, and as this match is going on, Dr. Wagner, which, again, this is cool because the English commentary filled in the gaps. Never knew, maybe through wrestling magazines or what have you. So Dr. Wagner comes in, and he is a rival for Kanik, but he helps him defeat Psycho Clown, and Psycho Clown loses, so Psycho Clown is advanced in the tournament. This was real interesting because I was like, oh man, wait a minute. So he's his rival, and like, what? Man, what's gonna happen? That's the cool thing about Lucha Libre Wrestling. So Kanik, he eventually leaves, and then we get Andrade El Idolo coming out, which was like, wait a minute, why is Andrade out here? And he helps Dr. Wagner. They pull off the entire mask of Psycho Clown. It was crazy. Like, I didn't expect Andrade to come out because, of course, the way he sold it, he came out, stopped him, and then, prevented him, and then he just turned on him and everything. And of course, Andrade, Dr. Wagner, with his jersey of the, I believe it's the faction that he has, presented one. Andrade's like, do you want me to join? C, no, C, no. And eventually he put on a jersey and everything, and has the mask, and threw the mic and left out and everything. So it's interesting with what's happening with Andrade El Idolo in AAA. But that was a really cool thing because it's another segment where they brought like this rivalry that's been around for decades back here. It's like, oh man, it's like, mind you, never seen these guys. Maybe I've seen them on social media or something like that, but it was my first time actually seeing them, and I was already interested. Like, who are they? Like, man, this is interesting. Then we get the match of the night. Oh boy, this was fun. Rey Fenix, heel, Del Vikingo, and the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks come out with Konnan, which I was like, uh-oh. Okay. How is this going to play out? Because if you remember last year, Konnan came out with Kenny Omega. This year he comes out with the Young Bucks. So this is going to be very interesting, but I like this. This was so much fun. There was a spot where bear with me. It's so much stuff. Like, the one thing I can tell you about this match, if you haven't seen this match, was there was so much stuff that they did. The style that the Young Bucks wrestled reminded me a lot of the Ring of Honor New Japan style that they wrestled before. Their style fits the Lucha Libre style. Like, I was shocked Maybe I think this was my first time seeing the Young Bucks wrestle the Lucha Libre style, and I was shocked to see how like fluid and on point they were against Vikingo and Phoenix. There was a point where Vikingo, Conan, he threw a drink in Phoenix's face. Once that happened, the ref kicked Conan out. The Young Bucks go to the back, and they're like, oh, they're talking to him, and they're baiting Vikingo and Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix and Vikingo run, super kick. Bucks super kicked them. Then you had another point in the match. You had Vikingo walking the ropes. Ooh boy. And doing a corkscrew moonsault. Or, let me rephrase that. Corkscrew splash. And then, right after that, you have Ray Phoenix do the exact same move. That was a work of art. Then you had, at another point in the match, you had a shooting star press on the outside by Vikingo. That clip, I believe it's on Twitter. I believe, who was it? I think it's Draven. The Twitter account Draven had the gift of it. Man, that thing was beautiful. And I like the camera shot because they got it like right underneath. Like they show him going to the ropes. He runs to the ropes, he jumps, and they shoot it underneath, and they show him going underneath and boom, landing. Man, that was such a beautiful camera shot. Then you had Vikingo doing a post. He jumped from the ring post on the top rope and did a drop kick, which was crazy. This is another point in the match. Then you had Phoenix and Vikingo mocking, of course, the Young Bucks. Then you had Ray Phoenix doing a muscle buster, and they kicked out. Then you had Phoenix doing a super kick. But then eventually the Young Bucks. Yes, the Young Bucks did their Meltzer driver. 1, 2, 3. They win. Man. Like I left out a lot of stuff because it's me describing it doesn't no justice. Trust me. Me describing this will do it no justice. No justice whatsoever. So then what was interesting about this match more afterwards was Phoenix and Vikingo. They were kind of like upset, and Vikingo, he's the one who got pinned, and Ray Phoenix is upset, and they're kind of going bickering back and forth. And then the Young Bucks super kick Ray Phoenix. Then they beat up Vikingo, and they start waving to the back. And then I was thinking it was going to be someone from the Undisputed Elite, or not so much Bullet Club, but more Undisputed Elite. And who comes out? John Morrison, Sammy Guevara, and Tay Conti. What? And then they beat down everybody in the ring. And then who comes to make the save? Penta. Penta comes and makes a save. He beats out the Young Bucks. He beats out Johnny Morrison, Sammy Guevara, and then Tay Conti's talking her smack, and he just super kicks the hell out of her. Pa! She rolls out the ring. They carry her out in the ring. That's the end of the show. Man, this was a fun show, especially on a Friday night. Not Friday night, Saturday night. Man, it was fun. It was different, especially different from everything that we've seen this past week with AEW, WWE, Impact, MLW. I know GCW had an event and everything. This was so different. It was cool. It had a lot of names that we see weekly. It brought back a lot of these rivalries that's 30 years old, decades, like I said, of generations. This guy was fighting this guy. Now his son is fighting this other guy's son. His nephew's fighting, like stuff like that. It was like, oh man, this is so cool. And man, this is fun. So we'll see what happens at the next 2 Triplemania shows. I know there's one in June, and then I think there's another one in October. So I'm actually looking forward to those. But man, this was fun. I've been a big fan of Lucha Libre, uh, man, since I was 8 years old when it was playing on Telemundo like an hour before WCW Saturday Night, which was fun back in the day. It's like, oh man, I get Lucha Libre and oh crap, nice. But man, this was a really good show. Um, whatever way you can find to watch this, I know it's on Fight TV and what was the other outlets that they were showing it on? I know Fight TV has it, but man, watch this show. This was fun, especially for the main event. Uh, man, Vikingo, Phoenix, Young Bucks. Please run that back. Run it back, cause man, man, that was so fun. That was so fun. It was cool to see Young Bucks out of their what we usually are accustomed to seeing them in AEW and stuff like that. Like this was cool to see them just out of that element and just into this. And it's like, okay, this is the Young Bucks that were like we loved in Ring of Honor, New Japan. Not saying like for me personally, I enjoy the Young Bucks, but it just had that feel like, man, this is the Young Bucks that were like this is a 2017, 18 Young Bucks. Like, yeah, these are the guys, and man, it was a fun show. But yeah, that match, man, so cool, so cool. The other match, Jake Cartwheel, Laredo Kid, Dragon Lee, Dralisto, Turas, and Johnny Caballero, John Morrison. The other match, Latigo, Maravilla, Sexy Star, Octagon Jr., Sammy Guevara, Tay Conti, Park Negra, Chic Tormenta, and Aris. Dope matches, man. I don't know what else to say, man, but it was this was cool. But man, watching Phoenix, Vikingo, and the Young Bucks, man, I haven't seen anything like that in a long time. I know the last time I seen Vikingo wrestle was at last year's Triplemania. But man, that boy, give me Vikingo and Will Ospreay. I don't know if they wrestle or not. Give me that match because man, that would be a work of art. But yeah, this is my review for the Triplemania 30 pay-per-view for April 30th. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, stop fighting over wrestling. Reason why? You got AAA, you got Impact Wrestling, you got NWA, you got GCW, you got Warriors of Wrestling. Of course, you got AEW and WWE. You got New Japan, you got Stardom, you got Pro Wrestling Noah, you got CMLL. So much wrestling going on, man. I don't know why you're fighting over whatever you're fighting over in pro wrestling. Like, there's just so much wrestling to watch. I ain't got time to argue with anybody, man. I'm just going to enjoy what I enjoy, man. So with that,